Here now with his thoughts on how to get America back to work, Michael Leven. He is president and COO of the Las Vegas Sands. He's also a member of the Job Creation Alliance, and John Allison also is a member. Michael, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm well. We always talk about banks being impossible to understand and too big. I would know. I guess we'll start in Las Vegas, but I mean Macau we could talk about probably for a couple of hours, and then your moves into the continent in Spain is something we could spend a half hour on. But let's talk about how business is given the economic backdrop in Las Vegas. Are you allowed to talk about that, or does it have to stay in Las Vegas?
We can talk about Las Vegas if you want. I think the major thing about Las Vegas is it really is indicative of what the Job Creators Alliance is all about, is how we educate employees on what's going on with our government and policies about our government and how it inhibits job creation. But Vegas is basically, our visitation is up. It has been up for the last year or so. May we had lousy numbers in Vegas that were published in terms of gross gaming revenue, but actually our visitation was up. What that indicates is that we're just getting less spend per person, and that's what statistically is happening. People don't have as much money in their pocket, and they don't spend as much as they used to, and consequently that has a downward spiral to profits. The reality is if we can't create more jobs, we can't get more spending, and people are too tight. So that affects us everywhere. We're a consumer-driven society, and Las Vegas is basically a consumer-driven place.
Michael, back with that famous comment, don't go to Las Vegas and blow your money and spend your money. And I mean, when that was said, I thought, you know, wow, there's a lot of cocktail waitresses and dealers and, you know, busboys and, you know, some velocity in the economy. I think you learned that in the first week of an economics course. That was pretty illustrative, I think, of what you've had to deal with. But also, at that point, did anyone really listen and not go to Vegas because the president told them? I don't think they did. I think it was demand. It was the financial crisis, money at that point. I mean, do you still feel the effects of that, honestly?
Well, I don't really think so, Joe. I think the reality was that big companies who were having meetings and big associations having conventions, they worry about our government. They worry about the intrusive nature of our government. And frankly, they're scared because the government can get tough and they can cause lots of problems. So they frightened their way out of Las Vegas and decided to go to Milwaukee and other places like that where they'd be undercover. So in the early going, that did hurt Las Vegas for sure. I don't think it hurt the individual people who were coming to Vegas, but I think it did hurt on the group business. That's basically over now. Our group business here in Vegas is much, much improved. Forward bookings for 13 are much better than they are even in 12. That's not really the problem anymore. The problem is what people are spending in their pocket, and we need more individual business coming to Vegas where people will spend what they used to in 7 and 08. And that's what's happened.
Talking of consumers not having enough money to gamble, I want to talk about your plans for Euro Vegas Casino and Resort in Spain, of all places. Why Spain? Why now? A country dealing with very high unemployment, obviously dealing as well with a debt crisis. Why?
Well, we're looking all over the world, actually, and most of the activity we're doing in development, we're doing in Asia. Vietnam, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, etc. We're even looking in Toronto right now as a possibility. But we also look in areas which you'd call counter-cyclical. Spain is a counter-cyclical investment. No one can really make a prediction as to what Europe's going to look like 5 years from now. And if we do anything in Spain, we're making a long-term bet on the European population and the European economy. So it's just another place for us to look. The real problem is we're not looking enough in the United States. And we can't, because the difficulty of doing business here is more and more difficult every day.
Can I follow up on Asia and the business there? I mean, obviously China is slowing down. 7.6% is the latest read on GDP.
Yep.
I think Singapore's economy just contracted as well. How is business in Asia?
Business is still very good in Asia. I think we'd all be happy if we did a 7.6% GDP growth. I think that would be very satisfactory for all of us. I think we have to start looking at China as an opportunity and not a problem. I mean, I woke up this morning and heard the statement about our uniforms for the Olympic team being made in China, and it's now brouhaha in Washington. I think we ought to look at the great China consumer that's growing. It's going to be the largest consumer market in the world, and we need to manufacture and spend our money and time and research building business to sell to Chinese. We do that. We do that in China in the gaming business, and we do that with Chinese tourists coming to Las Vegas. In fact, they're the highest level gamblers and buyers of consumer goods that we have.
Are you active politically?
Yes, sir.
Michael, I am.
Yes, I am. I'm not as active as my boss.
Sure.
No, I mean, I think he's more actively politically than I am.
He's more active politically than anyone. I think when you throw $20 million, when you can do, when you have that kind of money to back a horse with, it's pretty amazing.
Well, I think that I know we could spend hours talking about Sheldon. I mean, he's a spectacular guy, and I love him dearly, and we're very dear friends. And I would only say this, that Sheldon is a great American, a great patriot, and he believes sincerely in the free enterprise system, and he believes in creating jobs. We employ over 40,000 people in areas where people weren't being employed before, and that includes Singapore. And as a matter of fact, he would do anything to ensure the fact that the America he grew up in is the America that he doesn't live in when his children are living and his grandchildren are living. That he wants America to be the same, have the same opportunities, the same chance for the middle class to grow and to get wealth and to be happy like him. And I don't want to speak for him, but I'm around him enough to know that's what he cares about. And so he's going to support those candidates whose policies he believes will change the course of our country.
There were a couple of caveats for this development in Spain. If you had to assign a probability of it being completed right now, Michael, what do you think it would be, honestly?
Oh, I can't really say, Joe. I think that...
Is it 50-50? Is it better than that?
No, I'd say it's probably 50-50. I basically... I was there 2 weeks ago. Both Barcelona and Madrid have made tremendous efforts. The governments have made tremendous efforts to get our products there. We're still doing very deep research and investigations about
250,000 jobs, possibly for that country. I guess that would be all the related jobs. But I mean,
yes, that's true.
I mean, it would be amazing for. I would think the government would try to bend over backwards, but I just wonder. In dealing with that government, maybe it makes you appreciate the U.S. government, no?
Well, actually, it's been easier to deal with them than it has to be dealing with some of the areas here in our country. I mean, we tried to take a look at Florida. We tried to take a look at Massachusetts. We tried to take a look at New York. We make all those efforts. I have to tell you honestly that dealing with governments is about 75% of my job. There is no easy government anywhere, but the Spanish governments in both Barcelona and Madrid have been very, very extremely cooperative.
And dealing with government, how long have you been in this position dealing with governments? How many years?
Well, I studied political science in the 50s. I never thought it would actually be something I'd actually have to use.
Are you saying in the last 3.5 years, has this been the toughest to deal with, or have we had similar administrations in the past?
Oh, I think it's getting tougher. There is no question. There is no question that the government is more intrusive in our lives today than it ever has been, and I think, as I say, I woke up this morning and the major comments are about the uniforms that the Olympic team has, and they're saying all the legislatures agree that that was a big mistake, and that's really important. I mean, our country needs help. We need legislation. We need things to go better, and we're talking about uniforms, and it just doesn't. It's just indicative of what's going on today. So I think our Job Alliance Creative Solutions thing is really about educating our employees in all of our companies, large and small businesses, that we have to vote to change the kinds of policies that are making it difficult to do business.
Right. Michael, we appreciate it. I do appreciate you being on this morning, Michael. Thank you.
That was
Thank
genuine.
you. You're very welcome.
That was genuine.
It's genuine.
If you want, you can throw something and say, "Counselor, you're leading the witness. I object." Because I can.